Welcome to The Advocate, a program that thrashes out all the topical issues of the day.
When you are in government, you don't see nothing wrong with whatever is happening. The moment you are out there, everything is wrong.
You can't even see many women now, and when they're there, they're not even really making a mark, and then they have an NYSC problem and this and that.
One of the reasons why we don't have more women in politics in Nigeria is for as long as political meetings continue to take place in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
Really disastrous for a president
to even say
be unaware of the chief
It's
justice.
a ploy. It could be a strategy.
That strategy was very terrible strategy. Because the buck stops at your table.
Whether it's that we don't look after our cities, and quite frankly, Nigeria is becoming a very ugly place.
When you are the only one feeding the people with this news, and there is nobody countering them, it becomes, the news.
There are many unacknowledged heroes in our midst. June 19th was Sickle Cell Day. It was my late mother's birthday as well. I am pleased that there is a coincidence here. I am a supporter for Sickle Cell, even for family reasons. There have been advancements in care routes available for those with this condition. There were the dark days of just transfusions, but now even the manner of transfusions is changed. There's the expensive route of bone marrow transplant. There are herbal drugs that help. There are lifestyle choices, what to eat or drink, avoid strenuous activities, hydrate often. There are some who call for those likely to produce sicklers from intercourse to avoid themselves, to not get married when they are aware that there is a chance of giving birth to sicklers. This may not be bad advice, but I have never been on that crusade. What bothers me is that we do not take the matter of health care seriously for a condition that is prevalent here. I was happy to hear that a small medical center had been built for this purpose in my hometown of Ogwashuku. I had no idea it was being built and have not visited it. I have heard many write disparagingly about the condition, forgetting they themselves are probably terrible people in so many other ways. They are unaware of the high achievers who have the condition. Today, similar to IVF procedures, you can select eggs or sperm to ensure you do not gamble with the outcome of pregnancies. This is a great advancement, at some cost, no doubt. But it is the poor that I want to reach out to. They generally cannot care for sickler children, and some, from lack of education, do not even know the sickler status of their child until they lose them. We need small clinics dotted around the country at local government level, at the very least. Corporate giants to assist these establishments. Grants or inheritance systems to fund initiatives. We need to spread the message far and wide and not limit things to marriage counselors in churches. By the way, any child from God is an extraordinary child. Look out for more messages and follow Sickle Cell organizations on social media.
You're so right. You know what upsets me about Nigeria is that I feel like Nigeria really follows the survival of the fittest pattern. So if you're weak, then you might as well just be done away with. If you can't survive, be done away with. Sicklers, there are many sicklers in Nigeria. It's something like you said, we should have clinics in various places. We should have people educated about this. The one thing I only ever hear on the radio is don't get married. If you both have, is it?
AS or SS.
They never talk about how, okay, even if you do get married, there are ways to manage the condition, So I really do have a problem with the way we go about things. The same way with disabilities, we won't provide any assistance for people with disabilities. They just basically have to get on with it.
Let's go to the reality. So my question is, are we saying that, because I've heard radio shows where they've been discussing, the pros and cons of being, having the sickle cell. Although in Nigeria, they always make it like it's one word. It's a sickle cell, not sickle cell. The sickle, to have the sickle cell. And the same in the UK, we mustn't, shy away from the fact that even in the UK, it's not something that's widely invested into, et cetera, et cetera. Now, until I moved to Nigeria, well, even till now, I don't know my genotype. I can honestly say that to you as juries, right? Okay. I don't know my genotype. In the UK, I don't know my blood. I never know my blood. I don't know my blood. What's my business? That's what the doctor is supposed to know. So my thing is, I think if I were a sickle cell sufferer, I would know. Now, we know that many marriages or couples have had to break up. Is it that it's wrong for them to, they've had to separate?
Okay, break up as in
yes,
not get
married. Yes.
Okay.
Is it that it's wrong? It's painful.
Yes, to do
but
that,
you've
right?
got to ask yourself, it's about self. Can you really handle it? Because we've got to bear in mind, it might all sound beautiful and romantic to say, go ahead. Not everybody can afford all these advancements in medicine rather. The average person will tell you, and I know many who have sickle cell, they will say to you, it is the most heart-wrenching thing. And some have decided to have an abortion for the next one. Do you understand me? To say, I'm going to have this tragic, I'm coping with one, I can't cope with another, even though they went and got married, knowing full well that, they could easily carry the gene. So I think it's very much, I like but what I do like about what you're saying is, it's time to change the narrative. It is not the end of the world anymore.
No,
however,
exactly.
it is still the end of the world based on finances.
Okay.
It is still the end of the world for those who can't afford those advancements.
Okay, just to come in a bit and to take from what Uche was saying, I think we could do with being a more caring society.
Yes.
Of course, if you can prevent it, it's still a personal choice, whether you go ahead and marry knowing that it's down to each individual. But ultimately, if you support people, one thing I know is with people who are facing this kind of challenge, if you give them the support they need, anything can happen. We know of one lady who she had like 3 sickle cell people. And 4. Okay. But the husband was so overwhelmed by it, he basically washed his hands off it. But this lady took the strength she had, carried them to the UK.
Typical man.
One of them, the boy, I didn't go there.
I will go there.
One of them, but as I was saying, so let's not get caught carried away. But the boy now is a lawyer with a family and children, and the man now wants to know. But he was so crippled. I mean, he could barely walk. They carried him on. So, but with the support.
I hope she doesn't let him know.
Each to their own.
Well,
but basically, the point is, with that support, the woman was strong enough to raise those children. And I think one of them was a close friend of mine. And they're doing well. Yes, one died, but, reasonably well. I feel the country is as strong as its weakest person. So if we can show support, I like his advocacy because it means we all can get behind however we can.
But there's so many causes to get behind though. It's Nigeria. That's the problem with Nigeria.
We should start from
somewhere. But for me, I've got a personal story. I'm not sure I should share this here. But because I was in a relationship with someone who and the whole thing we were very much in love. And families were like, you guys cannot go far with this, and it was a bit, it was difficult.
You found out early that.
Yeah, we did. We found out it was very difficult to have that conversation. But there's merit in having that conversation, and you hear that especially from churches saying, because they bear the brunt, they see these things. They in the absence of having the clinics and the hospitals to manage this, and it's very difficult. And I know because I was there,
when she's having
a crisis.
It's not something. Because the pain is
it's excruciating. It's crazy.
It goes
you can't even
to
describe
your marrow. So it's not something I don't even know how to say it. But it's extremely difficult. So I think that for me, I will say that couples before they get into they should know how serious it can be and prepare themselves for it.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But thankfully,
and if you make that decision.
Then fight it through or do it through.
But talk to us about these medical advances, though, that you were talking about.
I mean, there's the one where you literally get rid of it, which is the bone marrow transplant.
Which is, for people who don't understand what bone marrow, you take the blood out and they put in a new blood.
No, that's a transfusion.
Okay.
The transfusion is the one where you take the blood out and put new blood in the person. You do that maybe every 3 months.
That's the stem cell?
People. No, stem cell will be the bone marrow.
Okay.
Where you take blood from another, the marrow produces
the marrow,
blood. So you're not just transfusing and changing blood every 3 months, whatever. You're literally now changing somebody's blood type.
Right.
You're putting in a marrow that will produce non-sickly cells.
Why I tend to be, and I don't want to get distracted from what you're saying, because what you're saying is let's look for ways to support people. Let's support. But I just want to, just as an alternative, why for example, when each time I was expecting a baby, they do a test, you could find out if your child was what's the word? Was Down syndrome.
Yes.
Down syndrome.
I would never do it because I said it won't make a difference. I'm going to have every child I want to have. Doesn't matter what disability.
Yeah.
So I'm like that. I'm a bit of a gung-ho person. If I fell in love with someone that had, I would marry you. And because I just say, look, this is life. You know, you can't engineer too many things.
But it's not. This
I just go into it
because
it's about the child.
I know. I get you. I get you. I know a sickler. And one of the most beautiful people I know, she had a family. And at times when she's going through the crisis, she'll say to her mom, "Why did you have me?" And the mom will look at her. The mom is like, "I'll have you 20 times over." And I don't blame the mom.
Yeah, but
she's married now. She has her own son. She's going through it.
But you can't take the person that's going through the pain.
It's not their choice.
It's not the parents.
They didn't choose.
Yes,
to come.
I know.
when I was
really
pregnant with my son, we
were
were asked, my partner and I at the time, or his dad and I were asked, they needed to have amniocentesis. That's the test.
Yes.
Amniocentesis, because they thought I was old at 32. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Thought I was old. But also, when you do that test, one of the things they do say to you is, there's a risk of miscarriage because they literally have to insert, the woman and everything. And I remember his dad and I discussing this, and I said, look, the way I see it is a child that's going to stay will not be miscarried. And that was why I went and I said, I don't believe me. I would want my child to be Down syndrome. The world is wicked enough.
So this is definitely one area we all can make a difference in. Well, so Uche tackles a matter that affects us nationally after the break.
Welcome to The Advocate, a program that thrashes out all the topical issues of the day.
When you are in government, you don't see nothing wrong with whatever is happening. The moment you are out there, everything is wrong.
You can't even see many women now, and when they're there, they're not even really making a mark, and then they have an NYSC problem and this and that.
One of the reasons why we don't have more women in politics in Nigeria is for as long as political meetings continue to take place in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
It's disastrous for a president to be unaware of the chief
It's
justice.
a ploy. It could be a strategy.
That strategy was
Backfired.
terrible strategy. Because the buck stops at your table.
Whether it's that we don't look after our cities, and quite frankly, Nigeria is becoming a very ugly place.
When you are the only one feeding the people with this news, and there is nobody countering them, it becomes, the news.